If you're just joining us, you're listening to Watching America. I'm your host, Dr. Alan Campbell, and I am doubly delighted to have two very interesting and important voices on Watching America. The first of which is Daryl Davis. You know him as a musician, artist, activist, and also the author of a very interesting book called Clandestine Relationships, A Black Man's Odyssey in the Ku Klux Klan. And he is joined with Bion Bartning, who we've just been speaking with, who is the founder of the Foundation Against Intolerance and Racism. I'd like to know, gentlemen, how did your lives converge? What was the first thing that happened which caused you to, if you will, intellectually cross-pollinate, in the way I guess I would describe it? And so I would speak with Daryl first. Daryl, how did you find out about Bion and his organization called FAIR, and what was the attraction?
Well, a friend of mine had contacted me at Peter Boghossian and was telling me a little bit about FAIR and his friend Bion Bartning, and it sounded very fascinating. You know, I'm always getting emails or calls from different organizations and groups, you know, wanting my support or my membership with them or something like that, and I'm always very cautious. Before I sign on with somebody, because, I've been doing this, as I pointed out, for almost 40 years, and I don't want to be compromised, by somebody's mission who may sound good on the surface, but then behind the scenes is something, that I would disagree with and not want to be a part of.
Yes.
And you know how quickly, your reputation can be smeared,
right,
in a matter of seconds on social media. So I've always been very cautious. And the more I looked into FAIR, it aligned, right with what I want to do. And so I was very happy that Peter had made the connection for me. And Bion and I hit it off, and here we are.
What are your hopes for the foundation? Where do you want to go next with it? And what do you see as the, if you will, antidote to what, from your perspective, would be kind of a social poisoning that's taking place?
Well, I'll let Bion answer that. But for me, we have come up with, FAIR diversity. We've come up with educational programs, K through 12, which I have always said that we need to begin teaching this kind of thing, in the beginning of school, while children's minds are sponging information. Give them this kind of thing. Don't make it the taboo that has been in our school system for so long. Like, for example, as I pointed out, I am 63 years old. When I was in high school, we did not learn about the internment camps here in the United States for Japanese Americans. That there was nowhere in our textbooks. Our teachers did not talk about it. I never heard it until I was in college. And when our teacher was telling us about it, I did not believe him. I was like, what? You got to be kidding me. How come I haven't heard about this before? And I asked my parents, and they said, yes, it's true. And I was furious that I had not learned that. Now, of course, today, kids in school do learn it. But the Tulsa race riots are still not in the textbooks. I knew about that 30 years ago, and people are just now coming to see that there are big, not just small, but big chunks of our history that have been purposely omitted from our history. And this is a disgrace and a disservice to the educational system, especially with our youth, because we all need to learn these things about our country, about our fellow human beings, et cetera, so that we can make better informed decisions and be more educated, become more well-rounded. And FAIR has put together this program, K through 12, kindergarten through senior, and this, I think, is phenomenal. It's something that I've wanted to see for a very long time. In fact, in New Jersey, I speak in New Jersey every year. I've been doing it now for about 10 or 12 years. They have programs in some of the middle schools where they bring in 30 different speakers for a whole day. And all the kids get to go to see, whichever 3 or 4 they want to see. They bring in Sudanese former slaves, Rwandan genocide survivors, Holocaust survivors, myself talking about race relations, 9/11 responders, survivors from Sandy Hook or Columbine, all kinds of different people who were former gang members or who've been victimized by gangs. And these middle school kids get to see, something that they don't see in their sphere. Where have you seen a lost boy from Sudan in New Jersey? They're at this middle school telling their stories. And let me tell you something, Dr. Campbell, these stories are so important for people with a young age, because I'll give you an example. This has happened to me 4 times. I lecture all over the country and around the world. And this has happened to me 4 times where I've given a lecture at a middle school and say over here on the East Coast. And then I have years later, I'm lecturing in Fargo, North Dakota, to a college. And this kid comes running up to me. He's a sophomore. And he says, "Hey, you spoke at my middle school. I'm the one who told the student activities board about you. That's why you're here."
Wow.
So something I said in middle school stuck with that child.
Yes.
And he carries it into college. I know that kid will carry that mission the rest of his life. He'll raise his kids that way, open their eyes and expose them to different things. My favorite quote of all time is called the Travel Quote by Mark Twain. And Mark Twain said, "Travel is fatal to prejudice, bigotry, and narrow-mindedness, and many of our people need it sorely on these accounts. Broad, wholesome, charitable views of men and things cannot be acquired by vegetating in one little corner of the earth all one's lifetime." So I am just thrilled that, today we don't have to. I mean, it's nice if you can travel, go across the Atlantic Ocean or Pacific Ocean to some other country, but we have a tool at the tips of our fingertips. The internet. We can travel virtually and learn about other things and bring those to the classroom.